So I haven't done one of these videos in a while, and this video is my personal opinion. I want to start off by saying I have absolutely no hate, no hard feelings, no nothing. I'm hoping that maybe this video can give a little bit of insight, and that maybe this can help. As service dog handlers, we are supposed to set an example. And there was something I saw the other day that this is the only portion of the video that bothered me. And so I want to show you guys this, and I'm hoping so much that nobody takes this the wrong way, because sometimes you need an outsider's perspective to be able to realize that, hey, maybe this isn't what I should have done. Maybe I should have gone about this differently. And hopefully, you know, if you can realize those things, it'll help you spread better awareness and hopefully keep you from having any future issues. So we're going to get started. So here we have service dogs in public should focus on their handler at all times unless doing trained task work. Even temperament, walk nicely on a leash without pulling, straining, lunging, lagging, circling, or forging unless the dog's task work requires this. Remain quietly by their handler's side. Ignore distractions. Be quiet at all times unless performing specific trained task work. There should be no other vocalization, including but not limited to whining, grumbling, wooing, barking, growling, whimpering, or other noise outside of necessary task work. And unless working, service dogs should be seen by the public and not heard. They should appear professional, well-groomed, and well taken care of. Your service dog is a representative of both you and the service dog community. She should always leave everyone she comes in contact with excellent impressions.
I hope that helped.
Service dogs should get off the appearance to anyone watching that they are highly trained and that they completely understand what's being asked of them. They should possess outstanding obedience skills and above average manners, and both should be readily apparent. A service dog's demeanor, training, and behavior should without question differentiate them from differentiate them from all but the best trained pet dogs. So, service dogs in public should not obviously urinate or defecate, whine or make other noises, pick up food, sniff, drag, or pull their handler. A service dog's behavior should never appear out of control. There's a huge difference between a service dog providing counterbalance for the handler by leaning into a harness and a dog who is simply dashing here and there and yanking their handler towards distractions. Wander or move widely out of heel position unless cued to by their handler. Service dogs aren't robots and they can't be expected to do everything perfect, but neither should the range widely enough to infringe on the space, movement, or rights of other patrons or teams. Should be responsive to their handler's movements and focused enough to readily move with him and her without significant lags or delays. They should not be engaged or engrossed with the surrounding environment or distractions, but they give the appearance of wandering, daydreaming, ignoring, or just being generally untrained. I don't think I really need to go into much more with this. Engage with other dogs, people, children, or distractions unless allowed to do so by their human. There's nothing wrong with allowing a service dog to greet a child, But the handler, it should be the handler's decision. A service dog should not appear overly excited, unfocused, distracted, overstimulated, or otherwise out of control. There's no defined line in the sand on this one, but it's easy to know once you see it. Jump, scratch, mouth, or exhibit other out-of-control behavior. They should never exhibit rude, ill-mannered, untrained, or behaviors that are considered inappropriate or nuisances. They should never infringe on other patrons' personal space in a way that appears untrained or impolite. Service dogs should never engage in any behavior or activity that could potentially be hurtful, harmful, or leave a bad taste in someone's mouth or cause the handler to have to apologize to the recipient. If you are in public and you see a service dog engaging in should not behaviors and it's readily obvious the dog in question is just generally ill-mannered or not well-trained, ask to quietly speak to a manager. Let the manager know that while federal law does require them to permit access for all service dog teams, they're not required to deal with dogs who aren't ready for public access, and that the federal law allows them to quietly ask the handler to remove the dog from the premises. So, this is the video. This is Lexie Godbout. Good boat. I don't know how to pronounce it. I'm subscribed to her, actually, if you can't tell. Lexie, I hope you see this video, and I hope you, like, kind of see, like, my point of view on this, and the point of view of the public, what they're seeing, and how they're going to take that. We already have so many issues with fake service animals and people wanting to bring their pets into places. So, they swap dogs. So, this dog is Lexie's dog. This dog here is this girl's dog. So, now, the dog is not with its handler. They're in a mall. So, the big thing there is that that looks like an out-of-control dog. It's not with its handler. It's distracted. Your dog is with somebody else. Your dog, your service animal, isn't there for you. Her service animal is not there for her. The dog is out of control. Yes, it's leashed, but it's out of control. It's behaving inappropriately. It's jumping. It's lunging. Y'all are all over the space where people are going to be walking by. It looks like an untrained dog. And if somebody sees that, they're just going to think, oh, well, I can do that too. That dog doesn't look trained, like, oh, I guess I'm going to just bring our pet dogs into it. And that's the big issue. If you're going to have a YouTube channel, and it's going to be about service animals, you have to make sure that you can't go from trying to explain the laws and in one video explain the laws of, oh, well, they're a service animal, they can be here, and then a little bit farther into the video have your service animal handed off to someone else, take their service animal, distractions, they're no longer able to assist you at that point, and then run around and play with it in the middle of the mall. That completely contradicts what y'all were trying to do with education. So you tried to educate earlier in that video, and y'all did good with that. But then you turn around and you're doing something that is not appropriate with service animals in public. They shouldn't be jumping, they shouldn't be pulling, they shouldn't be lunging, they shouldn't be without their handler. They're supposed to be at their handler side at all times. They are supposed to be under control at all times. And in that moment, y'all could have been kicked out of the store. And there would have been nothing you could have done about it. And I don't know if maybe, you were having fun with your friends, you were enjoying your time, and I get that. I completely get that. But everybody else who is watching, they're not seeing a service animal. They're seeing a pet dog. And so, bad rap on service animals, which we already struggle with so much. Access issues, so much. You just went through an access issue, and then you're playing around with someone else's service dog in the middle of the store. It's contradictive. It's confusing. It's really hard to educate people and then do something that goes against. You can't follow part of the laws just because they benefit you in that moment and then not abide by the rest of the laws. When it comes to service animals, you have to follow and abide by all of the laws. And in that moment, that's not how it appears. And I just hope that you don't take this wrong. Please, please, please don't take this wrong. Because I'm hoping that maybe, you'll realize, maybe I shouldn't have done that. Or at the very least, shouldn't have posted it. Because then other people are going to see that. And we're trying to spread service animal awareness and education. But that completely contradicts the awareness and education we're supposed to be spreading. So, my videos, Max is never like that in public. This is what a service animal should be doing in public. Always calm, always healing, always with you. I'm not going to hand my service dog off to someone else and then take their dog and run around and play with it. I'm not. And I think most people are going to agree with me. Most service dog handlers are going to agree with that. Nobody's going to say, oh yeah, let's just have a party in the middle of a mall and let our dogs run around because it looks like a pet dog. They should be under control at all times. They shouldn't be running around and jumping and pulling and just being this crazy dog. I understand that you need breaks and sometimes the dogs need to play, but go outside with it. Don't do it in the middle of the store, because the moment you walk into a facility, it is all about how your dog behaves. Your dog is the example that everyone else is going to see. Your dog is setting an example not only for you, but the rest of the service dog community. And this is a situation where when it comes to the service dog community, it's not appropriate. It really wasn't. And I don't know if maybe, you were just having fun and in the moment and just didn't think about it. So I hope this video kind of helps you realize that, you shouldn't have done that. And that in that situation, it looks like a pet dog. In that situation, you could have been kicked out. But not only that, you're going to get questions of, if you can hand your service dog off to someone else and they can hand their service dog off to you, do you really need the service dog? You're going to get all sorts of questions about that, where people are going to wonder, why are you running around with this other dog? It's distracted from its handler. It can't help its handler. And your dog is over there with that handler. And neither of you have your service animal. And a service animal in public is always supposed to be with its specific handler, because it's task trained for the handler's specific disability. So ADA federal law only grants access to service animals for someone who is disabled, and that service animal is supposed to remain with the handler at all times. And so I really hope that maybe this kind of gives you an insight that maybe you just didn't think about or realize. And, at the very least, we're trying to spread awareness. We're trying to educate. We're trying to explain the laws, but we can't just explain the laws that we want. We have to abide by all of them. And when we don't, it's no better than somebody bringing, their pet dogs into a store, because we can't pick and choose which law we abide by. They are laws. And if you break the law, there are repercussions. And in that situation, y'all could have been kicked out. And there's nothing you could have done about it. And with the dog being out of control, they could have called animal control. And then that could have been even more of an issue. They could have called the cops. There could have been so many issues that maybe you just didn't think about. So I hope that this kind of helps you realize that certain things, if you're gonna do it in public, okay. But certain things, let's not post it to the world and make the world think that that's acceptable and that's okay for a service animal to act like that and be public, because it's not okay for them to act like that in public. It's not what they're supposed to do. There's guidelines for a reason. There's laws for a reason. And so please feel free to message me. We've been wanting to do service dog meetups, and I would love to maybe try to plan something like that one day. And I really hope maybe this video kind of helps you as far as maybe not having as many access issues, because we have access issues because dogs act like that in public. Most of the time they are untrained pet dogs. And in that moment, anybody walking past or watching would have just seen an untrained dog. They would not have seen a service animal. And we have a duty, being service animal handlers, to uphold the law, go by the law, and follow it fully. Not just bits and pieces because somebody doesn't want us in their store. I wonder why they didn't want you in the store. Your dog's running around playing, And so there's so many different factors you have to think about. And
please believe me when I say this. Me and Dominic completely understand what you're going through and why you have to have a service dog. Mm-hmm. We promise we're just trying to look out, and there's no hate whatsoever.
Yeah, not at all. Not at all. And I'm hoping that also this video can take a moment to help other people realize
we're here for you.
That, maybe other people do it too. They have moments where they want to just play with their dog, and the dogs need it. But there's a time and a place. Not in the store, outside. Not when they're on duty, because then they have to be refocused. They have to, they're completely, neither dogs were focused on their handlers because they were with two different people. They're all over the place, and it's just not what the service dog community, what service dog advocacy, what spreading awareness and trying to minimize the risk of fake service animals. That's not how we do it. We can't use part of the ADA law just because it's convenient and then not follow the rest of the law. You have to abide by all the laws because you're an example. You have people watching you. And being a role model, being someone who you have a following and you have people watching you, you have to make sure that you are always doing the right thing, because then they're going to think that's okay. And then other people are going to see it and they're going to think, oh, well, that dog, they've got this dog in the store and it's acting like this. I'm going to just bring my dog. My dog's not trained, so I'm going to bring my dog too. So I hope this kind of gives a little bit of insight. I hope this helps a little bit. Maybe you just didn't think about it in the moment. But there's so many things that could have gone wrong. You really could have been kicked out. Animal control could have been called. Cops could have been called. And frankly, there's nothing that could have...
drama, especially with service dogs and access issues.
Yeah, nobody wants to deal with that. And in that situation, because of the way the dog was acting, you wouldn't be able to do anything about it. So we have to keep this in mind. If you're going to have a service animal, you have to abide by all the laws. They have to be professional at all times. It's part of it. They aren't supposed to be there to be jumping around, and they're supposed to be professional. They're supposed to be working. They're supposed to be helping us, and they're not helping us when they're not even with the handler that they're trained to be with, and they're running around. And so I just hope that, this maybe makes you think a little bit, and maybe you just didn't realize it. And I hope this can help you, and also I hope this video can help other people who have had service animals, or maybe they've done it themselves and just didn't think, oh, well, if I do this, just because you have a service animal doesn't mean you get to just do whatever you want with the service animal in a public place. The service animal is allowed to be in that public place, yes, but they're not allowed to be jumping and running all over the place and being out of control. It's not appropriate, and it's not service dog standards. It doesn't meet that. If you were to do a public access test, you're gonna fail like that just because of that situation. If that would have happened then. And so always go into it as if you're doing a public access test. The dog has to be trained. You can owner train, but the dog should come out looking like they're professionally trained. You yourself also have to present yourself in a professional manner. That's our jobs.
Image is
especially
everything. Image is everything.
Yes, image is everything. And if you're showing that it's okay for the dogs to run around like that, that is giving out so much false information. And Lexie, you have a following. You have people that look up to you, and if you're posting things like that, they're going to think it's okay. If you were to go into another store and there was another service animal, I know me, if I had walked into a store and I didn't know who it was, I didn't know this was a legitimate service animal, I would have walked past. I would have found security. I would have let them know that there's an untrained dog in here and it's going crazy. It's completely out of control. And they're just playing around in the yard. Because that's what it looks like. It looks like an untrained pet dog. And most handlers would have done the same. I think
it could be a liability in some people's perspective.
It is a liability. It's very much a liability. And I think a lot of the service dog community would agree, because we have a duty. But then when we publicly are posting videos and trying to educate the world, we have even more of a responsibility to make sure that we are doing everything perfectly, because we have so many people following us, trying to learn from us. And if we're doing things that we shouldn't be doing and they see that, then they're going to think that. And then it's the same issue with fake service animals. And so, again, no hate at all. I mean that from the bottom of my heart. And so I really hope that maybe this kind of like opened your eyes, and it was like, maybe I shouldn't have done this. Maybe this, maybe not do it again. And so, again, feel free to message me. You know how. Message me on Facebook. And, again, no hate at all. And this is coming from a very loving place.
We just wanted to reach out.
I really did. I did just want to reach out, because it is coming from a very loving place. And I don't want to ever see, more access issues. And God forbid you have to go through that just because you had a moment and you did want to play around with the dog and all of that. But it could have caused access issues. You could have been kicked out. Cops could have been called. Animal control could have been called. There's so many different things that could have happened. And that's the last thing we want. And so I don't know if you thought about any of that in the moment. And I get that. You're with your friends. You're having fun. I've been there. So I hope you don't take this wrong. And I really hope that, if anything, anyone else who has watched this video has been able to learn a little bit. And I hope everybody has a wonderful night. And I'll see you guys next time. Bye.